Things are spicing up in the Middle East. The Supreme Court gives a 6-3 defeat to Trump and his tariff plan, and we'll get into that one for sure. Then the communist mayor of New York decides that now actually is a great time to not just tax the rich, but tax everyone. Like, every single communist before him. Like, I mean, it's not like we didn't see this coming, or anyone couldn't have called that going to be happening. Wow. And then the transport secretary decides to pass a rule that all tests for commercial vehicles have to be done in English. Crazy, right? Those stories and more on the ripple effect. Welcome to the ripple effect. So the biggest one, obviously, right now that everyone is talking about is the tariff defeat, I guess you'd say, at the hands of the Supreme Court by Trump. Like, Trump got it. It was pretty big. So, and I think people are kind of losing some of what it is. Everyone's, of course, all the pundits out there that are lefty are immediately saying Trump is beaten back. He's shown what he really needs to be doing. He is pushed back and defeated, and he's destroyed. And honestly, it's not that bad. So basically what happened was the Supreme Court was presented this idea that Trump can just unilaterally do tariffs like crazy. And the answer is no, you can't do that. And I'm going to go through it because there's a lot of opinions on this for and against. And honestly, there's even mixed reviews from the Conservative Party as to whether or not this was a good decision or a bad decision. And there's some people that camp on on one side and camp on the other side. And I kind of want to get into what was being said and how this really affects the Trump administration and what is it going to do to affect global dynamics, right? So first off, the job of collecting, this is what the opinions are, that the job of collecting money is specifically designated for Congress, and that there's no reason for the president to be the primary person involved in tariffs. Yes and no. So what they're basically saying is that the president doesn't get the right to just unilaterally raise money through tariffs. That's not his job. His job is to be the executive, not the purse strings, right? He's not supposed to be collecting money. He's not supposed to be doing any of that. That all has to come through the Congress. And unfortunately, unfortunately for Trump, but I kind of agree that is true. He's not supposed to be using tariffs or any other means for collecting money because that literally is designated for Congress. Now, secondly, they said that the president does have tariff authority in very specific cases to do diplomacy. And I think this is the part that's interesting, is that he does have a wide lateral ability with regards to tariffs when it comes to how he deals with other countries, specifically if it's a targeted tariff. If it's a targeted tariff, he has almost no one to stop him doing a targeted tariff for the sake of diplomacy, for the sake of imbalance in trade and so on. But he doesn't just get to do blanket, like, universal stuff. He has to be very specific, and there has to be a reason for it. And specifically because the particular, there was a bunch of vowels in the acronym for the particular law that everyone was citing. It's like an emergency powers law. Now, thirdly, the president should not have blanket emergency tariff authority because of what the other consequences could be. And this is actually the dissenters. So some of them were pointing out that if you give Trump, just like any other president, if you give Trump the universal power to control emergency tariffs on things that they consider to be emergencies, then it could become a situation where you get someone in maybe like a Biden or a Kamala. Biden's not coming back in, but like a Kamala, and they say, well, the emergency is emissions. And so now we're going to put an emergency 100%, 200%, 300%, whatever, tariffs on all gas-powered engines coming into the United States, and everything has to be electric. That's why it's not good to just give them blanket permission to just do whatever they want to. Again, you got to be careful because everything is a two-edged sword. And so that was one of the things that they said, is specifically if you try to use it as an emergency tariff broadly with broad strokes, you need to be very tactful and very diplomatic with what you're doing. So that's why basically a lot of the ones that are kind of funny, because a lot of them where he's like, I just don't like the way that guy said what the guy said to me. He should be given a tariff. And it's like, okay, that one actually might be legit. But when he just broad strokes doing his like Freedom Day or whatever they did, Independence Day version of tariffs, that does not count. Now, Trump has already taken it in stride, and he's already levied tariffs against a lot of the ones that were released. He's levied tariffs against them again, but very specifically, and he went after the way he should have done originally, and he's going about it in the proper way, which is fine. Again, this hasn't changed much. I think if you want to get the gist of this whole thing, not a lot is changing. Basically, we're saying you can't do it this way, but other ways you could have done it are perfectly legit. So he basically just can't do crazy broad strokes. He has to be specific in what he's doing. Fine, cool. I'm okay with that, because then you can target and deal with an issue one at a time and focus on the actual problem that is there. Now, the other funny thing is that the markets have not adjusted to this at all. So the markets have not gone down, they've not gone up, at least as of the point of this recording, because they don't know what exactly is happening. Because they're like, well, what does this mean? So if you're removing the tariffs, that doesn't mean that we're all of a sudden going to get an influx of stuff from those countries, because Trump can put tariffs back on them individually and strategically. So the market's just kind of like, we'll hold to see what's going to happen. And that's where we're at right now. So they have not reacted because they assume that he's going to figure out a way to reinstate everything that has been removed at this point. Additionally, there were some questions as to what was going to be done with the money. So if the tariffs were illegal or wrong, where he couldn't do them, what is going to happen to the money? And are the American people on the hook for it? And if you listen to any of the lefty pundits, they're going to say that we are on the hook for it. The only problem is there's not really a legal basis for that, because it's kind of like it's a review thing, meaning that when he did it, they reviewed it and said, no, we're not going to do that. It's almost like it's not punitive in the sense that you go back and have to repay it. It's more like from now on, you cannot do these things. So as far as anyone knows at this point, it doesn't seem like the tariffs will have to be repaid in any way, shape, or form. It'll end up just being put to good use, basically, which is kind of what we kind of expected was going to happen anyways. Now, on the war front, when it comes to Iran, things are going to get really, really spicy, because if you can remember, the Gerald R. Ford was and is the largest, most powerful supercarrier in the world, bar none. There's nothing that can compare to it in the slightest. And apparently it is well on its way steaming, not steaming because it doesn't have steam. Well, I guess it does use steam because its nuclear power creates steam, but whatever. Long story short, it's on its way to the Middle East. And it was in Venezuela, so it tells you a lot that they think that the situation in Venezuela is stabilizing enough that they can pull the Ford out. If this is the case, and the Gerald R. Ford goes to Middle East like they're expecting, to Iran in that area, you're talking about two of the most powerful weapons in the entire world are going to be just off the coast of Iran. It'd be hard to see how we couldn't just very heavily dominate everything. I mean, if you want to ever just see how terrifyingly powerful the Ford is, there's lots of videos out there that will explain it. It is astonishing just how powerful that aircraft carrier really is and what it can carry, like all the weapons and everything. And they've been trying, by the way, they've been testing bigger and bigger aircraft landing on these things. So it kind of tells you that they are preparing themselves for some maybe heavy bombardment and stuff. So we'll see what's going to happen with that. But I wouldn't want to be Iran right now, considering we already have the Abraham Lincoln, which is one of the most powerful weapons in the world. And now we're bringing something that makes the Abraham Lincoln look small and puny in comparison. And that's what's coming to breathe down their throats. So we will see how that works out for the Iranians. And then I thought this one was funny because, you know, as conservatives, sometimes you do get tired of saying, I told you so. And I laughed because my brother-in-law was going on and on because unfortunately, and I'm sure he'll listen to this, but unfortunately, a lot of the communist rhetoric really appeals to young people. It really does. It always has. It's always resounded to young people because it sounds good. We'll take care of this for you, and we'll take care of this for you. We'll take care of this for you. And I watched a video from the John Birch Society the other day, and it was so good. And he's talking about how apparently there's a French philosopher on finances and economics was talking about how once a government realizes that it can give something. It's not supposed to be there to give. It's supposed to be there to protect, right? And the moment, and I'm sure someone out there smarter than me will remember the name of the guy. But the moment it realizes it can give, it has to give from taking from someone else. And so guess what's happening? All of these plans that the communist mayor Mandani decided to do in New York, well, it costs money. And believe it or not, there's just not a crazy abundance of money. And he decided to tax the rich, right? He was going to go after the rich and he was going to go get the rich. Apparently, it's not enough money because, the rich are really good at hiding their money because they got people to do that for them. I mean, think about how hard and complicated sometimes doing your taxes is, and how you might make a mistake. Well, they have people to do that kind of thing whose whole career and life is in making sure that they save money for their employer. So not really didn't go well for him. And so now he's trying to hold the entire New York state hostage as he tells, I think, is it Holcomb? I forget, Kathy Holcomb, who's the governor of New York, basically telling her that if she doesn't step in and authorize the finances that he wants, he'd have to put like a 9% additional tax on basically everyone in New York. And we'll see how well that goes, because this is always how it goes. In fact, I love watching a channel called China Uncensored, and he's not super conservative, but he is in one sense, because he understands what communism really does to the world. And he's focused on China, really, but he does another channel called America Uncovered, I think. It's pretty good. It's pretty good analysis and breakdown. But he just shows how country after country after country, and every time they'll tell you, well, we are going to do communism right. No one else does communism right. We will do communism right. And then they proceed to do it exactly the way everyone has ever done it ever, and which is the only way to do it, and destroy the entire country. And if you don't think that China is a destroyed country, you don't know. Go watch some of his videos. You'll be very surprised by how the internals of China really are happening right now to basically destroy it. It's going to crumble. And then the transport secretary, this one kind of hits near and dear, but the transport secretary decided that it is no longer okay to have the testing for CDLs, commercial driver's license, or vehicles like that, in any other language other than English. And I'm like, no duh. No duh. Why were we ever offering it in another language? This is America. Why would we offer your commercial driver's license? I mean, big vehicles, dangerous vehicles, hazardous vehicles. I'm talking about people that have to carry flammable stuff. I'm talking about people that drive buses, people that drive the semis next to you. When again, remember that semi that's flying by you when it's snowing or raining outside and you're scared to death, but they're just going crazy and is driving right past you. It might be someone who doesn't even speak English and you're hoping you can read the signs and everything's going good. Yeah. So they're now going to enforce it in English. About time. Good. Because we've been seeing nonstop reports about people that are basically illiterate in English coming into our country and getting commercial driver's license and driving around very dangerous vehicles that can be used as weapons and have been used as weapons in the past. Good. This is a good step. And on my final note, before we let you go for the weekend, 300 students get suspended for leaving school during an ICE protest. I have it here. I thought it was interesting. It was in the hundreds of students suspended, school under close watch over anti-ICE walkout. It said the past week, hundreds of K-12 students received detention or suspensions after walking out protesting ICE, including more than 300 suspended at Woodbridge Senior High School and 120 by Mustang Public Schools, a move Governor Kevin Stitt passed on February 18th. And I think this is so important because we have told young people that forget your life right now, because the future, it's like the earth is gonna burn down and all this. Oh, by the way, that blows me away. I just saw a thing that was like a report on Apple News. I was like going through my phone. A report on Apple News. If we don't do something, the ice in Antarctica will be melted by 2100. I'm like, okay, you guys have been saying this for so long, we've forgotten to even keep track of how many years past it was supposed to have happened. Like, you guys are ridiculous at this point. It doesn't even make any sense to say this stuff. But you keep driving these kids crazy. You're telling them it's doom and doom and doom and doom and doom and gloom and doom and gloom. And you wonder why they're losing their minds. And they're sacrificing their present for their future because you're telling them they have to sacrifice themselves to protect themselves from a long distant future. When you know it's not true. The evidence is proven that that's not true. And you're destroying these young people because you want influence. You want power. You want money. Well, Democrats, enough is enough. Enough is enough. Stop. Leave the kids alone. You guys can't even stop perverting children. Oh, by the way, I saw that too, and I didn't want to get into it because it's wild. But apparently, a trans what do they call those? Legislator decided that we shouldn't have an age limit, and I was going to go into it, and I didn't, but it's going to have an age. We shouldn't have an age limit on corn because if you don't know what corn stands for, then that's the YouTube safe version of saying another word. But we shouldn't have child age limits on that because that might prevent children bi children and transgender children from truly understanding and learning and growing. They want the kids. They want to destroy them. And it's not because they want just power. It's because they're evil. And they're wicked. And they're horrible. And they have this heinous demon-infused spirit that wants to destroy everything that's pure, everything that's holy, and everything that's good. And they'll do nothing till society is absolutely destroyed. And we cannot let them do that. Remember that when you see these stories, it's not just for the news. This is not for the news. This is for you to be armed and prepared. This is for you to understand what you need to go out there and fight and make a difference so that your children are not being affected. Other people's children are not being affected. And we can make an effect and have a huge effect. That's why it's called the ripple effect. I called it for a reason. It should have an effect. This channel should be growing. We want to be out there reaching more and more people. I'm having a hard time crossing 130 in subscribers. It bounced to 100 and then from 100 to 128, 29. And I don't know, there's like someone who keeps getting upset with me. So they go to 129 subscribers and 128. But we need to be getting out there so we can make a difference. And for that reason, I'm asking you, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. If you watch this channel and you're subscribed, please comment. It really does help, and it teaches the algorithm that people are interested and helps us grow so we can have an effect. News is not just news for no reason. It's for it to make a difference in our world so we can preserve it for ourselves and for our posterity and save this country that's 250 years old this year, of glory and power and strength through God. Let's grow that together. Thank you so much for watching.